This episode of the PC Perspective Podcast is brought to you by Harry's. For guys who want a great shave experience for a fraction of what you're paying now, go to harrys.com. And now Harry's is offering a free trial set. Just pay shipping by using code PCPER at checkout. Hey everybody, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 423 being recorded on November 2nd, 2016. I'm Ryan Shrout.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
And I'm Alan Malventana.
And welcome to the new and improved PC Perspective Podcast.
So different.
In a brand new location. Clearly you can tell from everything around us that we're in a brand new spot, 1.6 miles from our previous spot.
Which made moving...
it's like a hop, skip, and a jump.
Yeah, made moving relatively simple.
Yeah, we did a lot, like not as much packing as much as like set things down in the back of a 27-foot U-Haul, drive real slow over to the other place, and carefully unpack it or move it off here. Now, well, maybe I'll turn the camera around after the podcast and the after show, but like this place is a disaster right now.
Yep.
As you would expect. It's amazing how much stuff we had crammed into a 1,200 square foot area.
Yeah.
And how I don't feel like I remember when we moved it all in, I looked at it and I said, we should have bought someplace twice as big as this. Like
once everything gets put away, it'll be,
once things just are kind of like sprawled out on the floor, I guess it will be a little bit better.
And then you can start on the second layer.
Yeah.
I mean, where everything that was put here was like zero height. Nothing was based on height. It was just spread everything out.
The thing that worried me is we built all those shelves in that storage room.
Yeah, and we're not using them the right way yet.
And they've got stuff on them. It's not organized well, but they've got stuff on them. And then like I keep looking at like all of our existing shelving units, and there's not anything not on them.
Yeah,
like we didn't move. I don't know. We'll see. There's a lot of
Ryan did this awesome power move with the shelving units just by buying a bunch of plastic wrap and just wrapping around the shelving units, because shelving units are on wheels,
right?
And just roll the whole dang shelf up into the truck with everything still on it.
I was like, I'm not gonna take everything off these shelves and put them in boxes. So stretch wrap it was around it, and like whatever rustles around and may get broken, whatever, it happened.
I haven't found anything broken.
I haven't seen anything yet either. The only potential mistake is our processor shelf should have been cleaned out separately.
Yeah, it turned into a game of Plinko.
But luckily, Intel processors, they don't have pins.
Yeah.
AMD processors,
not so much.
They've got pins.
They do have pins, but we don't use them as often.
That's
so
true.
There's that. There's a little bit of advantage there. So there was a story I was going to tell before we actually started. What was it? I forgot now. Josh, what was I?
Why are you asking me these things?
I said save it for the podcast. Talking about the church. Something about the church.
Yeah, I know. I don't remember what it was now. I said, oh, wait, I'll tell this story. We'll save it for the podcast.
Oh.
I don't know. Yeah, somebody's asked in the chat. We got our fiber line in on last Monday, so we had it for just over a week. Seems to be working fine. Still running a bunch of cables and figuring out where power outlets are going to be installed and all that type of stuff. So there's that.
Yeah, all I asked was, how is the new space?
Oh.
Yeah, and that's what you said.
Okay, well, I explained it then.
Yeah.
It's here.
And how about the carpet?
It's fine.
Did you patch in that spot with the accent color?
We did patch it in, and then yesterday, the day before, Alan cut it so that it fit perfectly in it and glued it down. And all
actually,
that type of stuff,
so it's actually the same level as the rest of the carpet now. So
did you apply shoe polish to it to try to match?
No. It actually kind of makes more sense now. It's like this is the set area.
Yeah, it doesn't look awful. Like if we had any other thing set up on this section, it would look stupid because we have this gray industrial carpet.
Yeah.
And then it goes into like a home carpet of like kind of a Burberry, nicer brownish tan stuff. But now it just looks like, oh, this is the spot they designated for that. So, we'll say it was on purpose. But yeah, everything's up and running. We've got tons of space. We're just trying to figure out how to do it all. I've got a ton of stuff to catch up on in terms of content and articles and stories and videos to do. So I don't know when we're going to get into like actually taking advantage of the new space, but hopefully it'll be soon. All right, so we do record the show live on Wednesday nights. If you are not watching us, it's Wednesday at 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific at pcper.com/live. If you need a little reminder, you can go to this page here, which will ask you for your name and your email address, and we send you a little notification that just says, hey, you know, we're going to do this live stream, blah, 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 sign in, hang out, talk in the chat room. Sometimes most of the time it's just our weekly podcast. Every once in a while we do other events where we'll have people in from out of town. Or
yeah,
we'll
and don't be offended if you get an email back that asks, what's your mother's maiden name and the name of your first pet? Just go ahead and answer those, send it back.
Yeah,
and we'll use those as security questions for the PC per mailing list.
It's very true. I can't. Yeah, I got nothing for it. But we will gladly accept stolen credit card data. No, we won't. No, Josh, don't collect that. Also, don't forget, we do have our Patreon campaign running. That is at patreon.com/PCper. That's your way to, if you feel like, hey, they finally did the move, let's give them a little bit of bump here, because we're going to have to like double or triple our light output, because what we did before was we kind of like cheated and rotated lights to the other set, and now we won't be able to do that because we've got so much more space. We have to fill in new lights. Also, surprise cost, the ceilings are significantly higher.
Yeah.
So my light pole extensions that hang the cameras from the ceiling aren't long enough anymore, so I had to buy a bunch of new light pole extensions. It's these little things that kind of like, the wall outlets are further separated. Did you know you could buy 25-foot ATX power cables, like standard power supply power cables?
It's a pretty long cable.
Yeah, it is. It's only $9 each though. So, you know, hey, thanks, China. Just a lot of things like that are still being worked out. And also what we are doing is we're figuring out like, hey, we have a lot of extra tables and desks we weren't using before that we can now have space to utilize. So, and again, if you make a contribution for the first time or update your contribution, increase it while we record the live stream, I will read your name off here. So yeah, without the Patreon that we have going to this point, we wouldn't have been able to actually move into this type of space. So it will.
So do you have a cot area for me to stay in when
Not yet.
My wife kicks me out?
Not yet.
We got a bathroom and shower.
We've got 2 bathrooms. There's no shower yet, but I want to put one. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the second bathroom and just actually make it like a shower area, like a shower room.
So the women's bathroom is going to get a shower.
I think it's going to be the men's bathroom will turn into the shower because it's got the urinal on it, which kind of sets up, I don't know, spacing wise.
Can you make it kind of a shower sauna?
I could do that. They're pretty big.
Talking.
They're pretty
There's
big
nothing
rooms.
like, you know, a nice
I think the room is small enough that it would be a sauna anyway.
After the podcast. It'll be right there.
But I do have a room with a door. It has a gross carpet in it that I haven't replaced yet. But that could be your room, Josh, when you want to hang out.
Okay.
So, there's that. Let's do a quick summary here of the PC per VLAN. If you missed it, you suck. Present company included. That we had that on Saturday. Jeremy, what was the kind of output here? We gave away a lot of stuff, I know.
Oh yeah, there were well over 50 attendees constantly. I think they peaked out just over 90.
Nice.
And it went for a very long time. There were a bunch of prizes from the 2 long-standing supporters of this VLAN, which is AMD. They give away an FX 8350 with a Wraith cooler,
nice,
and an RX 480.
Nice.
Epic Games also showed up again with their fancy little Epic and Unreal grab bags of a whole bunch of old stuff from Epic Studios that, if you've seen any of the pictures of it, it's not the most valuable thing, but it's pretty damn neat.
I'm jealous of that.
Yeah, you know?
I've
seen some of it.
That would be some pretty cool memorabilia to have, so yeah.
And some of it's signed by some of the old team.
It would be all within arm's reach of me if I had it here.
Yeah.
And then you guys tossed in headsets, cases, Z170, an X99, GTX 1060. All in all, I think it was about 10 prizes you guys gave away. So if you didn't show up, not only did you miss a bunch of good gaming, you missed a chance to win some pretty good prizes.
We will have another one in the not too distant future, so pay attention to the website and to this podcast for that. All right, let's get into our reviews for the week. Light week, actually.
Well, we've been busy.
Light week on content. We did do a lot of stuff on this side in terms of moving and all that. But Sebastian did get a review up of the Logitech Prodigy G231 gaming headset on this. This is part of Logitech's budget brand, the Prodigy brand that they created. It's really meant to like, hey, we're going to create 3 accessories that are $69 a piece, and they're going to be pretty good quality for what you get. There's obviously going to be some feature and quality differences compared to the really expensive parts. But the G231, actually, Sebastian gave an editor's choice to, came away pretty impressed. He even said that like so this is analog only. It's not digital. You know, it's plastic all around in terms of ear cups, the headband, and all that type of stuff. The microphone does flex a little bit, but it doesn't like extend out. You just kind of fold it up.
So by analog only, you mean it doesn't even come with a DAC or anything?
I don't think it does actually. No, it doesn't look like it comes with a DAC. It comes with a splitter, so you can use it. It has a single cable, like a 4-pole, so you can use it with like an Xbox controller.
Yeah.
And then it has a splitter, so you can plug it into your computer as a
headphones and microphone.
You know, input on those different ones. $69. Actually, I got to correct that. When he wrote this, it was actually on sale for $49, but it is $69 again.
They shouldn't have rated it so high. They jacked it up because of that.
Yeah, well, $69 was the expected MSRP on this. It's just a matter of, you know, sometimes people have sales at the wrong times, or you know, there's never a wrong time to have a sale, but.
Yeah.
As the author of the thing, you know, he said these are really comfortable. All things considered, soft enough. Ear cup pads were generous and soft enough to provide good comfort. Breathable cloth material on them. You know, he did compare them again to the G633 and 933. Like those are significantly higher priced. They're a little bit more expensive, and they're better because of it. What are you doing over here?
I'm just changing the hotkey.
You know what I'm saying?
All right.
Hotkey.
No, it's baseball tonight, not hockey.
The one that's closer for me to hit.
Okay. You're gonna screw up everything else for when he comes back.
Top of the 7th, one out.
There you go.
3. Just letting you know.
Thank you. 6-3 still. I appreciate it. The microphone sounded pretty good. Like you can see here, it does have the flex in it, so you can move it away from you or to you. The cable is about just over 6 feet, and the Y splitter is theirs. What does have inline volume and mute buttons, which is a nice touch. Now, in terms of audio quality, he actually, and Sebastian is an audio guy.
He's a snob.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're 40 mil drivers. They have a lot of bass, maybe a little bit heavy on the bass, but they sound remarkably good for a $69 headset. He, you know, played some games on them, watched movies, you know, sound effects, dialogue, all that type of stuff is tested through it.
Ignored his small child screaming at him.
Right. Hey, whatever helps.
Yeah.
At that point. So, you know, he said these are among the best headphones he's heard at the price. Right, so obviously they're not the best headphones he's ever heard, but if you take the $69 price into consideration, that's pretty good. And he said, for the most part, the sound from the G231 is indistinguishable from the G633 headset that he had on hand, which is like a $150 headset from Logitech.
Wow.
Has a lot of different features, right?
Yeah.
Capabilities, but in
probably
terms
the
of
same
audio
drivers
quality,
or something.
I don't know the answer to that.
It's a good question because they spent a lot of money on those drivers.
Yeah, I think they might
the materials
duplicate
that
some.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to have less electronics and crap in there, but if they, you know,
well, the drivers
amortize the R&D on those across multiple product lines, then yeah, it's a positive thing.
Agreed. So I spent a little bit of time with these before I sent them to him for review, and they seemed pretty good. I trust his opinion more than mine on those headsets, to be honest. That's why I sent them to him to do the reviews of. And if nothing else, check out that cool. Actually, let me go back a page here, where he bought this cool plastic headphone stand for like photos and stuff.
Oh,
see that? Mm-hmm. It looks a little bit like Josh's head.
A little bit, but he can't stack my head when he's not using it down by all of his case boxes in the basement.
I mean, he could try.
I mean, he could.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, he would be wanted for capital murder at that.
You know, you win some, you lose some. So that's the only actual review that we had this week. But I did think it would be interesting to talk about one of the news topics and a couple of giveaways before we get to our ad break. One here is I did a short little bit of testing on DirectX 12 Multi-GPU. So this is the only thing I've been able to do since, kind of planning and starting this whole move idea. Deus Ex Mankind Divided came out, what was that, like a month ago, a couple of months ago now. But they released a DX12 patch for it. But you had to like go into the settings and select the beta branch in Steam for it to work. Now they've gotten rid of that. DX12 is now part of the mainline patch, mainline build. And also they integrated early support for multi-GPU. Now this isn't SLI, it's not Crossfire. It is, implicit adapter multi-GPU. No, wait, which one is it? Implicit or explicit?
I thought it was
explicit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So DX12 is, the game knows about each GPU and it's handling it in an interesting way. So I hooked it up to our normal test bed, and the RX 480 is the one that everybody wants. That's the new AMD card. So we took the competitive 1060 and noticed that it scales really well on AMD.
Yeah.
Going from 1 to 2 RX 480s, but it doesn't scale at all at 1060. Now it's worth noting that that is not because the GTX 1060 doesn't support SLI, it doesn't have an SLI bridge. This would not be using SLI anyway because it's a DX12 title. It's using where it just sees 2 GPUs.
Is the game not coded for?
No, the game is coded for that. It's going to be the driver support.
Right.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but yeah, it sees it as 2 GPUs, and in software, it then balances out the load and can do some really interesting things in theory.
I had heard from
scale better.
I'd heard from an external source that the NVIDIA driver actually is doing it on purpose.
It's like forcing implicit or something?
It's like forcing a wait loop almost on it type of thing.
Why?
Maybe they haven't done their debugging to the point where they're happy with it yet type of thing.
So just make it not work.
So make it not work until we know that they're comfortable with it, I guess.
Okay.
But it does work today on AMD's RX 480. I didn't test out their hardware, but there's no reason it shouldn't work on the Fury titles or the Fury games and stuff. And if you look at this graph that looks at frame times, it doesn't impact your frame times.
You got some spikes, but otherwise that's a fairly solid line.
Yeah. I mean, you've got a handful of spikes, but there's a couple in the green there. And keep in mind that this data is gathered through PresentMon, not through our capture stuff. The capture stuff had already been torn down when we were doing this test. So there's a little bit of a story on that and a video on it. But it's interesting because there's AMD has been talking about multi-GPU for DirectX 12 for a while. Right? They, when Raja was here, the VP at Radeon Technologies Group was here. He talked about multi-GPU being very important to them for the future. And when we had NVIDIA on, they talked about, it's going to be a wait and see type of thing. It's very different. We don't know how it's all going to come together. And you can kind of see with this, what's another one? I think Civ 6 and the Serious Sam VR, kind of like early access thing that they're working on. Those, I think all 3 of those support DX12 multi-GPU, and it works on Radeon parts, but it doesn't work on GeForce parts. So I don't think that's the long-term thing. I don't think NVIDIA is just going to not support it. But it does, you have to give credit to AMD when they deserve it, right? They've put in the work to make this and enable it for consumers today. You don't have to wait for it, right? And if you watch the video, we actually have a 25x14 result as opposed to just 1080p. And you basically go from 35 frames per second to 70 frames per second, almost 100% scaling, which makes it a 30 frames experience to a 60, 70 frames per second experience, and it's still a consistent frame time. So that's fundamentally changing how you can play the game if you have a 25x14 monitor. So there are still benefits to multi-GPU. Obviously, it's more complicated, but some game developers are taking the time to do it.
I've got to interject this. It almost seems like with Microsoft pulling multi-GPU back into DirectX, it's almost like kind of the birth, like going back to 2003 when we started to see multiple core CPUs start hitting and the software environment starting to take advantage of that. Do you see what I'm kind of going at here?
Not really.
Okay, we're taking away the hardware limitations, and the software is looking at the entire system and saying, I can utilize these resources in a way that will increase performance, because like with dual processors, you needed to have compiler support, you needed to have application support, things to take advantage of this. Now it's different in ways because we've had multi-GPU for a long time, but that again has been really dependent on the driver, the implementation. So think back of Fury Max when ATI, before there was really multi-GPU in an effective way, they kind of programmed this from scratch. But now we're doing a more generalized programming that is more accessible to software. And again, it's more software controlled, that they can actually utilize these things potentially more effectively and without driver patches that, maybe 2 years in the future, you don't need to have necessarily a new driver that will enable multi-GPU on certain titles, because they'll actually be using DirectX for that kind of functionality.
Yeah, I could see that. That would be an ideal and fantastical world.
And I live in an ideal and fantastical world.
I'd like to see that. I think later this week I might take a look at the Sirius Sam VR thing and just see how it scales as well. I actually need to hook all my VR stuff back up again anyway, so it's a good opportunity to utilize it. So we'll do that. Before we get into our ad break here, let's take we have a couple of contests to talk about. MSI is turning 30 years old apparently, which is younger.
I didn't know they were born the same day I was, the same year I was.
Yeah, exactly. MSI,
they might have been in advance of you.
Younger than I am. Interesting. But they're doing 30 giveaways over 30 days from November 1st to November 30th. Scott has a post up on here. Jeremy, did they list anything but they're giving away? Is there a list of each thing, or do you have to go every day?
Oh, no, you can see the entire list, which sort of rotates between 1050 Ti's, GTX 1070s and 1080s, a couple of 1060s tossed in.
There we go.
A 480 for change every once in a while. Bunch of X99 motherboards, Z170 motherboards, MSI Gear, their little accessories line, and it accumulates with the unique GeForce GTX 1080 30 Anniversary Edition.
Oh,
one of a kind.
Clearly. I mean, in the last days, they're giving away a GS73 VR laptop, the MSI GS gaming system, and then the GeForce. Now, if that's what NVIDIA's next branded
those are the best. Those are the best GPUs.
We're not swapping the numbers anymore. We're swapping the letters.
What is their silver thing that they maybe didn't announce but leaked? You see that?
Silver,
no, I didn't.
Silver thing?
Quicksilver or
from who?
From
MSI.
I don't know. I'll look it up while we're talking in the ad break or whatever, and then we can discuss. Because I did not see it. AMD is also doing a giveaway. Jeremy, what is this one about? It's a social media network for PC gamers, whatever that is.
The first ever, apparently.
Sure, why not?
Because But
gamers never talk about stuff on social media.
Yeah, it's never happened before. But it's G-Tribe is what they're calling their social media network, and so it's AMD Gaming, Logitech, XFX, Gigabyte, Seasonic, HyperX, Seagate, SwiftTech, CyberPower PC, and Kinguin, the place where you buy those
where I bought my Windows keys.
Steam keys. On the other hand, I'm pretty sure that the BF ones that you can win are going to be legitimate. So you get 10 chances just to pick a Battlefield 1 code, but there's 4 grand prize winners that get a CyberPower PC, and and they don't really tell you too much about it, but you sort of look at the picture and you get an idea that this is not an awful thing.
AMD FX 8370, RX 480, 8 gigs of RAM.
There it is.
Gigabyte 990FX motherboard, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Looks like you get a 240 gig SSD, a 2 terabyte Seagate hard drive, Seagate Seasonic Prime power supply. So, yeah, and obviously a bunch of Logitech gear.
And it has an optical drive.
Stuff. Of course it does. Of course it does. An LG 14X internal Blu-ray burner. As you do.
That's
so either join the Twitters or the Facebooks to get your chance to win.
Fair enough. So there you go. Two contests for you to deal with or to have access to while we didn't post up any reviews really over the week. I'm sure this next week will be much more productive, right, everybody?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right, everybody? All right. Let's take a quick second here to thank today's podcast sponsor. Just like last week, we've got our shaving partner, as I like to call them. I always like to have shaving partners, right, Josh? This episode of this very show is brought to you by Harry's. Harry's was started by two guys, neither of which named Harry, Jeff and Andy, who were fed up with being overcharged for razors, so they decided to start their own razor brand to give guys everywhere what they deserve: a great shave at a fair price. They're not going to try to rip you off, and since they ship you the razors, you don't have to like go find the 15-year-old clerk at Walgreens to unlock the plastic case for razors. Which is a nice addition there. They bought a factory with over 100 years of blade making experience so they could make their own high-quality razors, sell them online, ship them directly for half the price of the leading brands, which is good. Harry's razors include everything you need for a close, comfortable shave. Alan, if you would show them in this box right here, this very device. You have 5 German-engineered blades. And if I know anything about the Germans,
they know how to make blades.
They know how to make sharp objects, right?
And pass tests.
Yes, in that, yes. There is a lubricating strip. Josh, big fan of lubrication.
Yeah.
On his razors.
You're the one from Kentucky.
Sure.
What's that got to do with anything?
Well, it's because his favorite spread is
the KY lubrication is what he's referring to.
I see.
He likes the jelly.
There's a flex hinge for a comfortable glide. There's a trimmer blade for hard to reach places. That's on the back of the blade.
Look at how easy that pops off.
Yeah, it does. It does come off pretty easy. Right. It's a weighted ergonomic handle. They have several different options. The one we have here is kind of a rubbery texture to it for better grip if you happen to shave in the shower or something like that. All this,
you don't want that lube strip to be infringing upon your grip.
Correct. All this for $2 a blade compared to $4 or more you'll pay at the drugstore. That's $16 you save every time you buy an 8-pack of blades, plus additional savings when you subscribe to Harry's Shave Plan. Harry's is so confident in the quality of their blades, they'll send you their popular free trial set, which we have here, I believe, which comes with a razor, a 5-blade cartridge, and shaving gel. Free when you sign up for a shave plan, just pay shipping. Plus, there's a special offer for fans of our show, or even if you're not a fan, if you're just listening to it, you happen to be. If you enter code PCPER at checkout to get a post-shave balm added to your order for free.
All right.
Post-shave balm. Go to harrys.com, HARRYS.com right now. Enter the code PCPER at checkout. Claim your free trial set and post-shave balm. It's harrys.com, code PCPER, and we thank them for their support of this train wreck of a show called PC Perspective. So, it was also kind of a lighter week in terms of news items. We're going to talk about a handful of them, starting with this. Qualcomm buys NXP in what I believe is the largest technology purchase ever.
What do they do?
NXP Semiconductors. I mean, as Jeremy wrote here, they supply chips which handle keyless entry, entertainment systems, RF comms, and even USB chargers, cars.
Okay.
That type of stuff.
So it's car stuff.
What was the amount for this?
$47 billion.
Yeah. 40,
with a B?
With a B.
Wow. With a B.
So NXP is a large company, as you might imagine.
Yeah.
This is interesting because Qualcomm is already kind of a big player in SoC. But, Josh, why would they feel the need to buy a company like this to get into areas where you thought maybe they would be able to make inroads on their own? Is it like, hey, this car thing is happening really quick and we need to make sure we're in on it?
Sure. You know what? Okay, any kind of startup is going to essentially cost billions of dollars when it comes to ASICs and the advanced functionality that they see in so many different areas. It's not like 1993. We can get 5 guys in a garage, start laying stuff out, get some relatively inexpensive software and make a million gate chip and be able to sell that on the market. You're not going to be able to do that anymore. You've got so much competition from all the other traditional automotive electronics guys, the avionics guys who have been doing this and kind of selling it off the side as well. Like the Lockheed Martins and whatnot. And then you've got NVIDIA, who's invested a ton of money into this area. And I mean, if you want to catch up, you got to look around and you got to pick companies up that may not be doing well, but have garnered and gained a lot of experience in this area that you can hopefully integrate into your company, get some of their products, get them into shape, use the capital that you have as a larger company, and to be able to have a effective and competitive product in a relatively short period of time, rather than hiring 15 people and then hiring another 100 people around them and then hiring another 500 people and takes years and years versus I'm going to just spend a couple $1 billion and get going right away.
Or 47.
And how much?
47.
Yeah. It's a lot of money.
Like, I think Jeremy points out in here that, like, it's possible that Qualcomm sees, okay, there's maybe the mobile phone market isn't shrinking as much as it is, like, competition has picked up tremendously in there from your Rock Chips and your MediaTeks and the like.
You could even say your Apples at this point.
Yeah, definitely.
They've had a very shockingly poor quarter for anyone at Apple anyways.
Well, yeah. So it's possible that them kind of buying NXP is kind of, okay, we want to be in all these fields. And if you look at this diagram on this post that Jeremy made, like, these are all areas that NXP was in automotive products, right?
Yeah, well, for $47 billion, they've got their fingers in a lot of pies.
Yeah.
And Qualcomm, for the last couple of years, we've been seeing them do stuff with QNX, which, forget about the BlackBerry side of it, is the de facto OS for most car bits.
Right.
Especially on Fords and a couple of other manufacturers. That's the operating system they're based off of. It happily runs on Qualcomm and Snapdragon. It will easily run on ARM, and that is mostly what these guys are doing, NXP.
Right.
They're just ARM licensed because, well, hey, if you're working at that low power, you license ARMs. Who else would you go to? So it's an interesting step, and it's just sort of a merger of a bunch of different players in this field, including one of the largest for mobile devices, one of the largest for mobile vehicles. So it's going to be interesting to see what comes out of this. It's a lot of money. Somebody's going to have to show some profit off this.
It really is. There was a lot of stuff happening in the world of GPUs for NVIDIA that wasn't great over the last week or two. Mm-hmm. Starting with this interesting thing on GTX 1070s. GTX 1070s are getting, apparently some of them are getting VBIOS updates because of memory chip changes.
Micron.
So all the first 1070s, 1080s shipped with Samsung memory.
Right.
Or no, I'm sorry, we're talking about just the 1070s here, because the 1070s have GDDR5, the 1080s have G5X, right?
Okay.
Is that right? Yeah.
You're correct.
So apparently, at some point, some of these vendors, some of these add-in card vendors are switching to Micron G5 modules.
Which should work.
But they are apparently much more finicky
temperature?
Clock speeds.
Like and temperature. Right?
Overclocking, memory.
Yeah. And voltage.
Because
it like undervolts things and bad things happen.
Now, as far as I know, this isn't something that affects you if you're running your card at stock speeds, I assume, right?
Correct.
Okay. This is just like, hey, this
pushing
card
things a little bit more, and it goes into this not a wait state, but a lower power state, but the clock speed is still up, and it causes issues.
Yeah. So looks like Digital Trends lists EVGA Gainward and Palette, but it looks like Asus, Gigabyte MSI are still MIA in terms of like releasing updates for this. I guess if you can just get a VBIOS and fix it, that's good. But interesting that like just switching a memory vendor will do that. I don't know. I had some people email me about this, and I was like, I haven't had any 1070 sent to me basically since launch.
Yeah.
So I don't have any that have Micron memory on them, and kind of if I just buy 2 or 3 at Newegg or something like that, it's just going to be luck of the draw what you get at that point. But it looks like they're addressing it. What I think maybe is a potentially significantly more drastic problem, or could be, I guess, is this issue with EVGA and the overheating VRMs.
There's nothing more fun than exploding VRMs.
Yeah, so there was like a video that went around of like a GTX 1080 catching on fire, apparently.
So that's the temperature one. The Micron one was the chip speed doesn't change quick enough.
Correct.
All right.
We've gone from stability to whoosh.
Now we're just melting.
To shit on fire, yo.
Yes.
Yeah. So
whoosh.
So this is something that apparently EVGA. This is EVGA specific because of the way they designed their cooler.
It's ACX 3.0 specific as well.
Because the heatsink doesn't cover the VRMs.
And
that's weird.
At least from what
it is.
Like Jacob sent us, a lot of the time it focuses on GPU temp, the fan.
Right.
So if the GPU isn't ridiculously hot, and sometimes in FurMark, for instance, it's not hot as the memory is, or the VRMs are. And so the fan's spinning about 30%, 35% because I believe that part of that ACX is about acoustic quietness.
Sure.
So it stays at 30% or so, not really blowing much air across the rest of the surface-mounted stuff on that card, and therefore, I believe, as they put it, because I really did like this phrase when I quoted it. The thermal temperature of the PWM in memory was just marginally within spec, just short of bursting into flames.
Or just failure, right?
Like, that is kind of what that means.
It's really weird to see, like, I mean, I've done a lot of GPU water cooling and overclocking, and like every cooler I've ever come across, be it a water block or the stock cooler I take off, has always had thermal pads to the VRMs and had contact.
They didn't do it this time for some reason.
It's like, I don't know, like, who thinks to, like, there's already a heatsink going over that stuff, usually. Like, it's just a huge plate. It's going over everything.
I don't know where I saw the picture at. It's not in this post, but there is there's like a side-by-side of like, here's ACX 2.0, here's ACX 3.0, where they did have this before.
Yeah.
And they didn't do it. So their fix is apparently to increase the fan speed curve a little bit so that it cools down the VRMs.
But it's still running super hot.
Well, the fan will be cooling the VRMs.
Oh, sure. But
so it won't run as hot, right?
Yeah.
Now, it'll be louder, but it'll be at 60%, 70%. It's going to keep things down.
I would like to know how much louder.
Like the VRMs are still going to. The VRMs are still going to run much hotter than they would have with heatsink contact.
So the VBIOS will fix the fan curve, but they're also, Jeremy, correct me if I'm wrong, they will send people free the thermal pads.
Yes, they've got a thermal pad kit that you sign up.
So they just didn't
register for EVGA. They'll ship you these thermal pads that should have been on there in the first place.
Is that the issue? The heatsink is actually, like, it's not like they re-engineered it and there's just a hole over the VRMs. There's like no
it's just not
metal.
Touching VRMs. So
they just
have a thermal pad that will at least take a couple of degrees off and not make it catch on fire.
Yeah, well, I'm sure it'll take more than a couple of degrees off if it's a.
Yeah. And in theory, that's going to reduce a little bit of the power draw, which will make the VRMs on the back of the board happier.
Right. I mean,
they also offer a different solution. because we did get the actual response from them today. RMA your card. The post that I put up today lists the exact model numbers, but more or less, if you've got a Pascal-based EVGA card that's using ACX 3.0, you're not comfortable with flashing your VRAM, or sorry, your VBIOS, you're not comfortable with putting on these heat pads, or frankly, you just want to get rid of the damn thing and get a new one because you don't know how much damage has been done to it at this point.
Yep.
Although with VRMs, it's binary. It's either dead or it's fine. They will do a crossover RMA. So you sign in, and that there is a guest login, which I linked to, as well as the member login. So even if you're just first EVGA you've ever bought and you just want to replace your card, sign in as a guest, give them the serial number. They will ship you one. When you get it and prove that it works, you ship the other one back. No charge to you. So, I mean, it shouldn't have happened, but at least they're being good about it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's you gotta wonder how, like, you've been making these coolers for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
how do you
always
decide
found a way to
cool?
shave 3 cents off of every cooler made.
Yeah,
and then like the PM didn't say like, well, how'd you do that? I don't know. It sucks. And you know, I feel for anybody whose card died. EVGA is a pretty good company in terms of support. So I have no doubt that they're gonna you know, I love the idea that, like, hey, even if nothing's happened to your card and you're not comfortable with it, you can send it back.
Yeah, it's defective. They should swap it out.
Yeah, I mean,
simple as that.
It's not. I don't know if it's technically defective.
It's defective,
right?
Well,
it's not like overheating and catching on fire.
If it's running them hot enough to where they're failing on people, I
would like to see I haven't watched the video of the VRM that catches on fire or whatever, but like,
I'll link to it.
They're doing it on purpose at that point.
It was already bust. He came home to a dead system.
It was already failed.
If you look at the video, he's already unplugged the PCIe connectors. The problem is the VRM is dead, and just the power draw coming through the PCIe slot is enough to take make it dead smoke. EWM and poof, away she goes. So the chances of it actually bursting into flames, marginal, but the chances of the card dying, well, far higher from zero than we'd like.
Yes, correct.
And yeah, just because I saw a couple of comments go by, if you RMA it, it has the pads and the new VBIOS installed in it.
I would certainly hope so.
If you buy anything shipped after today, it has the new VBIOS.
Yeah, I think they said anything shipped after November 1st.
Anything after yesterday. Yeah. Not necessarily anything you buy. So
yeah,
double check the model numbers before you pick one up. But going forward, the problem will be solved.
Agreed. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on it and see how that
hopefully get one in to see how loud it gets.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if you can set it on fire.
Or I just update a BIOS, right? And I'll know. So, all right. On the other side of the table, PowerColor, a traditional AMD board partner, apparently built a laptop dock. Right?
You say that fast.
That's a laptop dock?
Laptop dock?
It's a laptop dock.
And what is the connection? This is Thunderbolt 3.
Why would your dock have a Thunderbolt 3 connection? Is it maybe because of the PCIe lanes?
Yeah, sure.
That might give you the chance to install a desktop GPU?
Yes, correct.
Into your dock?
Oh, yeah. I guess I didn't clarify that this was a external GPU laptop dock. I just said laptop dock.
Okay.
Yeah, correct.
Makes a little more sense now.
So now you know why it looks like this. They tested it with an RX 480 in it, I guess. And what other features does it have on here? Obviously, if you're going to run Thunderbolt 2, you might as well have other stuff as well.
Umpteen billion different things, which I will have to quickly jump over to get the list from because I.
Well, yeah, actually, you have it in right underneath a picture in your quote. External storage.
Deny all knowledge.
USB peripherals, gigabit LAN connectivity, display output, and charging all through one cable. $375 for the Devil Box, which is what they call it.
That's a weird name, but okay.
Yeah.
PowerColor
it's a weird look too.
They have the Devil brand of graphics cards already, so it kind of makes a little bit more sense. Still not great. And they do include a Thunderbolt 3 40 gigabit per second cable.
They do indeed.
Add in a $200 GPU, and you're about $600 for this add-on now. So $375 for a dock that gets you the ability to use a discrete graphics card seems like a little much to me still.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
How long have we been seeing the promise of external graphics docks? How long?
Quite a bit. A long time.
I'm thinking like since 1999.
You were dreaming when you said this, weren't you?
I mean, you're right.
So baby,
I feel like Thunderbolt is the answer, right? Like Thunderbolt is.
Yeah, it's just the chips are expensive.
Is what will actually make it happen. You know, Razer has their kit out. Alienware has their kit out. The Razer one does use Thunderbolt. Alienware uses a proprietary connection.
Yeah.
Intel pushed the Razer dock with their Skull Canyon NUC, right? Their little, really small, all-in-one. So, like, if Intel is kind of getting behind it, you get a little bit more potential for it being accurate or you know, adopted, I guess I would say. Not always the case. You know, Thunderbolt being a perfect example of a technology that Intel created that has not been adopted by everybody.
Yeah.
I love this idea. I just think $400 for the dock itself is too much.
Yeah, it's almost the cost of the highest end graphics cards.
Well, like if you get that plus a $200 video card, you're at $600. You're on the verge of being able to build a computer for that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, but you went with a gaming laptop to begin with.
And you've got a MacBook Pro.
You wouldn't go with a gaming laptop for this. That would defeat the purpose, right? The idea is that you just went with a laptop. Like a thinner, lighter laptop that has Thunderbolt, right? I have an HP Spectre in that has Thunderbolt 3 connection on it. That would be a perfect
Spectre was their gaming line.
No.
No? Okay.
That's something. It's not that. I can assure you that it's not that.
It's definitely not that.
So you get like this thin and light kind of ultrabook style, you know, dual core quad threaded processor that's a thin and light for you to take around and travel, but it docks with a Thunderbolt 3 connection. Boom, you know, you're go. That's the idea behind this. But I don't know. I guess if you're the type of person that has a fairly expensive thin and light machine already, then $600 for this to be able to play games, you know, 400 plus whatever video card you want to put in there.
Yeah.
If I had any confidence that this would be a long-term supported product, like, Thunderbolt 3 is going to be here for a while, you know, laptops are going to have that connection for a while, et cetera, et cetera.
I mean, I think that's kind of the case.
I don't know.
What do you know?
Changed. Like Thunderbolt 1 and 2 use mini DisplayPort connections, and Thunderbolt 3 is a different type of connection. And maybe you could just buy a cable, or maybe there would be adapters for
Thunderbolt 4 would be totally different.
Yeah, right. It's just one of those things. It's just like, I'm not totally bought. I haven't totally bought in.
Thunderbolt 4 is just a PCIe
But at
slot.
$200, you might say I'm willing to take a chance on that investment. But at $400,
yeah,
maybe not.
Pretty pricey.
Yeah. Speaking of cool gaming laptops, though, Jeremy.
Hey, one last thing.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Have you noticed that, you know, we didn't write this up, and we probably should have, but Zotac is releasing an AMD-based product. Did you see that?
No, I guess not.
Gosh, maybe I should dig through and see that.
We should probably like post news things on this website we have.
Zotac launches world first AMD Radeon-powered gaming mini PC for VR. That's Zotac.
Yeah.
A traditional NVIDIA partner.
Yeah, you're right.
That's
okay.
Interesting.
Wait, didn't we have an AMD-based Zotac mini PC that we gave away at QuakeCon? Or was that like a 960? No, those were NVIDIA-based.
Yeah, that was NVIDIA.
That was a 960. I will say as a side note again, Fox sporting events use way too much slow motion video unnecessarily. Like slow motion high fives, slow motion smiles as they're walking out of the dugout, those types of things. I don't know. Anyway, back to that other gaming laptop. Jeremy, you posted about this. This is the Dell Alienware 13. Available in a ton of different configurations, right? But you know, you get different processors and displays and all that type of stuff. But the OLED screen option is what really stood out to me. But there's a lot to like about this, other than maybe the pink trackpad.
I really hope that they photoshopped it in there, but I know that they didn't.
They did not. But I will say it's
optional
LED
color?
Controllable, like the keyboard and all the other lights.
Yes, you can turn it off.
Yeah. Well, you can make it another color, or you can turn it off.
So is it clear glass trackpad then? Is that what the?
I think it's plastic. I assume, and it's just.
It's conducting the light somehow.
They don't say, but it'll be some sort of conductive acrylic-y thing.
I don't know that I want a really bright thing right there, like when I'm trying to look at the screen.
I wouldn't think so either.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know I'm the anti-RGB guy, but it's still, this one, I don't understand.
I get it. So what about the XPS, or what about the Alienware 13 kind of is interesting though, right? So
you can buy a $250 dock for it, where you can put an external GPU in.
It's less than $375.
That's true.
It's $250 plus tax.
Yeah.
But no, the fancy thing about this are the two upper end models, the 1800 and the 2100, which to start. They've got an OLED screen in it, and apparently it is a gorgeous OLED screen.
They pretty much all are.
Yeah. Well, the cheaper two models are a TN and an IPS, which, fair enough. So what?
Do they say what the refresh rate is on the OLED screen?
Yes, and it's very quick.
I don't mean the response time. I mean the refresh rate.
Yes, I take that back. I believe they give the response time.
I would assume 60 hertz.
Yeah.
Otherwise, they would have.
No, it's a G-Sync or adaptive sync, but they're both 1440p, which is.
I'm under the understanding, actually, that OLED technology may not be compatible with variable refresh rate technologies. I mean, interesting discussion for us to have another time, but
you've got to give it coffee so it can keep up.
Right,
is organic after all.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So it's nice to see not just an OLED screen, but also to see one that's 1440p. It's not 1080p. It's not 1366. This is nice. The top end model has PCIe, both OLED models have PCIe SSDs as the storage.
Sure.
Another lovely step to see that this should start to become the baseline for the more expensive laptops.
I feel like it is.
In some cases, not in all.
Fair.
It's getting there, but it's not quite there. And yeah, sure, throw a 500 gigabyte drive in there, but that's my secondary drive for when I'm too lazy to remember my eSATA drive.
Yeah.
Both of them are i7 6700 HQs, so it's going to be powerful. It's going to be a wee bit loud, but it's powerful. And they all come with GTX 1060, not 1060M, GTX 1060 inside of it.
Right.
So the external dock, as I said, hey, but in the last one, you bought a gaming laptop. Why plug it into something? Well, Alienware, they'll let you do it.
Biohazard in the chat comments that the base model of this laptop comes with a 1366 by 768 TN display,
yes,
and that is quote, interesting. That's bad.
We haven't gotten rid of it yet.
But it is a $1,200
everyone offers the base model, laptop, which is that awful 1366 TN screen. We've got to get rid of it at some point.
Yeah. It's $1,200 for a base level kind of gaming laptop. That resolution kind of sucks. But
you do get the 1060 with it still.
Yeah, you do. So I mean, you have no problem running 1366 by 768 resolution games.
60 hertz.
At 60 hertz, that's for sure.
Not a problem.
Everything runs at 60 hertz.
But the idea is maybe you hook it up to an external display, that type of stuff. And you just want something that's a little bit portable. I will say I've seen these laptops in person, the 13, 15, and 17. And they're actually really, really, really nicely built devices. I'm not a huge fan of all of the kind of modification, like lighting stuff they did. Like the trackpad is whatever, but you can turn it off if you don't want to. They have these lights along the edges of the laptop. I don't know if any of these pictures you can
that doesn't seem to show it really.
Doesn't show the sides of it.
No, they didn't have a good one with the sides.
But there's a light down the side of the monitor, and then there's a light down the side of the machine. And when it's closed, it looks cool. Like when the lid is closed, it looks cool. And even when the lid is open, it looks pretty neat. But when you go to plug in something into one of the ports on the side, the LED light kind of
blinds you. That's the one you were talking about where you couldn't see the ports.
You can't see the ports.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey guys, that's stupid. And they're like, shit. It's like, yeah. Like I was like, oh, let me see what port you have on the side of it. And I kind of had to block the LED light with my hand a little bit.
I can't see the side of it.
Yeah. But very nice designs otherwise.
And you can turn the LED lighting off, I would imagine.
You can, yes. You can.
So what do you need to... So instead of it lighting up your ports so that you could see where you're putting, you have to turn the lights off so that you can see where you're plugging your thing in.
All right, our last
You're
news.
either blinded by the light or wrapped up like a deuce.
Yeah.
Our last news item.
A motor eater in the height.
Skyrim Special Edition. I will tell you, like, I was kind of excited for this, and now I'm not anymore.
What was it? What was supposed to be so exciting about
it? Was supposed to be like a remastered edition of Skyrim.
Yeah.
They released on PC.
28.
A lot of my friends that are into gaming stuff, like, there were all sorts of posts talking about, oh, it's coming out, it's out now, and like I can't download it yet or whatever.
So apparently it's a remastered version of Skyrim is all it is.
Okay.
And the first thing I heard that was negative about it was that, like, on the console version at least, I don't know if it was in the PC version, like the audio tracks were lower fidelity than the game was originally.
Noticeably?
What I've heard, that was both.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah. The person noted it, right? And now, like, there's a patch coming out that will apparently, like, download the higher res audio files on your system. So that was the first thing, because, like, the music of Skyrim is awesome.
When compressed audio, which is already, I mean, compression codecs are pretty good. And when you crank it down that low, that people are noticing that the fidelity is lower.
I don't know.
Yeah.
And
You've seen what people do to JPEGs?
Well, that's true too.
And then the visual quality, like, this I'm sure people are picking out the most egregious examples, but, like, from what I've seen, there are very few instances of, like, positive changes or dramatically positive changes to the quality of the game, especially if you consider how much the aftermarket mod community has been able to do to Skyrim over the last several years. Like, if you look at these screenshots, this is the original up top. This is the opening scene of the game, essentially, right? And this is the special edition down here.
I feel like the top one, the stone, looked better.
Well, the bottom one looks a little bit washed out. Like, and there's all kinds of things that could be going on here. Like, the gamma was set wrong.
It's lighting.
HDR foggy area.
Yeah.
They've changed the lighting dramatically. So I've played 2 hours of the special edition.
Okay.
And it does look better. But yeah, you're going to be able to pick and choose some areas where they have changed the lighting dramatically. And just like that, you think, oh, this looks washed out and it's crap.
Right.
But if you're sitting in there and you're looking around, you notice a lot more lighting effects than there were before.
Yeah.
And so, you take a screenshot and you're like, that looks like crap. Well, look around and see how things change. I'm not, giving carte blanche to Bethesda and saying this is the greatest thing ever, but after playing a couple hours, it is a significant improvement in overall quality. And one of the things that I noticed is, say, when I had the original Skyrim and I applied all these mods to it, and one was, thicker trees and bushes and undergrowth. Well, third-party characters that followed you around sometimes would get stuck in, like, trees and shit.
Well,
and it was annoying. And so you had to disable those mods to get the characters out of these areas. And that so far hasn't happened that I have seen in this one. So,
well, it's because you don't have any mods
anymore. If you applied all these mods before to Skyrim, you did it in the proper order with the DX9 32-bit executable,
right?
You would have a similar, if not a little bit better experience. But this one works out of the box. It's 64-bit. You can then add further mods to it here in the future once people start developing them. So if you really love Skyrim, and if you're kind of like me and you've only spent like 6 or 8 hours on the original Skyrim,
wait, really?
That's a nice thing.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. I've hardly ever played it.
Yeah, I mean, if you've never played it before, that seems great. Like, if I already own it, you have to buy it again, though, right?
Well, if you bought every single bit of DLC available, it's yours for free.
Okay.
Yeah, I got mine for free.
Yeah, otherwise it's $40. $50 up here in Canada.
$50.
And I agree with Josh in that it's a nice new platform to build off of.
Right.
Because, like, even the official high-resolution texture mod that they put out, like that Bethesda put out, does make it look on the PC about as good as it does on what I've heard about this new special edition.
Right.
It's sort of already wrapped in, and the lighting effects have gone up, but all of your mods are dead. any save games you had with mods. Well, you're starting over from scratch again. So is the modding community willing to sort of start from scratch or go back to an old project they've already tossed out to make it work again on this? Because with 64-bit addressing, once you've added that 130-second mod, it might not crash every time your left eye blinks, which is kind of a good thing.
That'll be a plus.
So we'll see. Early days, and the other thing, if when you first started Skyrim and you love those bugs, like when your FPS went above 60 hertz and the horse sort of took off, it's all back again.
Those still exist.
It's all back again.
Nice.
So we'll see.
All right, everybody, that is it for our new stuff. Let's get to our picks of the week. A quick update here. It looks like we have a tie ball game. Everybody, 6-6 in the bottom of the 8th. 6-6.
Yep.
There was a 2-run homer that occurred. I hope nobody DVR'd this and they're waiting for tomorrow night to watch it, but no.
Yes, I'm sure they'll be able to avoid the spoilers tomorrow.
Yeah. All right, so here we go. My pick is, I just found this today. This is a thing called Bloxels, and it is a thing for kids that essentially you build a character using physical, let me go back here. You build a character with like a physical play set, right? And then you scan it with a tablet app, right? It uses the camera and it scans it into a game. And then you can use the same blocks to build a level as well. And then you take a picture of it and scan it and it puts it into the game, right? So I'm trying to find out. Yeah, so here's...
You scanned a dildo and the pink wall dungeon, didn't you?
No. So it's like... So here's what it is. It looks like... Because you basically are building pixel art in this thing, right? And then you use the camera to capture it, right? So there's like your first room of the level, right? So there's looks like there's water and then lava, like different colors represent different things.
Sure.
And then you dump it out, you build the next thing. And you can even, like, let's see, where's it? Yeah, he builds a character right there. And then you, again, use the tablet, you scan it, and puts it into the game, and now you play as that character on the levels that you created. It's pretty cool. Obviously, this is something, that's beyond where my kid would be able to use it yet. But it's a neat idea. It kind of like teaches level design, teaches some interesting things around that. It's called Bloxels, Bloxels. And let's see, where is our price on here?
This is an interesting idea to get
$2.99.
Get the pixel art into the game just by... It's like a light bright, but you can scan it.
Proceed to the Bloxels store. So a Classroom 10-pack is $4.50. That scared me for a little while.
$50.
$50, yeah. Bloxels Video Game Builder Kit, $50. So that's a kind of that's a cool thing. Good Christmas gift idea if you're looking for something for a kid around, the appropriate ages for that, and see what you got. Who is next?
Should be the Jeremy.
What do you got?
King Jeremy, the Wicked.
Not much. It's been a week, but if you need cheap old storage up here in Canada, it's not a bad deal. $280 for the 5 gig Western Digital Black.
5 terabyte.
It's not so bad.
The 5 TBs.
It is 5 whole TBs.
For $280 Canadian?
Yeah.
What's that work out to in US? Is it 1-to-1 still?
Oh, no, it's been a long time since that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
Although,
I was gonna say, like US, you can get like the 6 terabyte for like $300.
Yeah.
So
yeah, the 6 terabyte is not on sale. The 5 terabyte is. The 5 terabyte, in fact, costs you less than a couple of a pair of 2 terabytes that I looked at.
Cool.
And it beats trying to find an extra couple of SATA ports. It's just boop, one or one eSATA. You're done.
Yeah.
You're happy.
Yeah. All right, Josh. Anything interesting?
Me?
Yeah.
No.
Cool. Moving on then.
I like toothpicks. You can pick them up for $2.99 for like a 500 pack.
Okay.
You just have to grasp the toothpick gently in between your thumb and forefinger, insert in between teeth.
I mean, really, you can use any finger. It doesn't have to be your forefinger.
How many times do you grab things like this?
More.
Don't answer
more
that
often
question.
than you might think.
So anyhow,
what do you really got?
In my
how many toothpicks fit on this thing?
A lot. You could do a lot of toothpicks on my pick.
So what do we got?
Anyway, Elite Screens. They make some pretty solid products for not a whole lot of money. So with the Sable border, it's 100-inch. It's got a good screen to it. I put this dang thing together for my work. The thing's massive. Only $199. If you got a nice short throw projector like we had reviewed last week, this is a fantastic thing. I think, in fact, Sebastian got something very similar to this. And his wife was very happy until she discovered the cost of the projector.
Right, yes.
But if you're going to do projection in a room that is not going to have a lot of side lighting, this is a nice, bright screen. It's easy to put together. It's massive. And you're going to be happy with it for a long, long time.
All right. There you go. And
what is the brightness on it?
I have no idea.
The brightness depends on the projector.
Projector.
Or sorry, the gain. 1.1 gain.
Oh, was the gain. Okay.
Yeah, sorry, not the brightness, the gain.
All right, Alan, finish it up.
So there's a lot of different kinds of earbuds, turns out, that use this connector called MMCX. That's like a little quick disconnect. Looks like a little mini coaxial snap-in kind of thing.
Okay.
And, oh, darn, I guess they're sold out, so the price isn't listed right now. But this thing was like $30. It's like a Bluetooth cord that just is the thing that connects the left and right earbuds, and it's super lightweight, and it just, it's...
So it converts your earbuds into wireless?
Yeah, converts
headphones?
them into Bluetooth wireless. And there have been cords like this made by some of the higher-end companies like, who is it? Westone or something? Is that the name of one of them?
Yeah.
That makes it... But that their cable is like $200 or something for the same functions that this one is for $30.
Okay.
The only thing I noticed is that if your earbuds are like super, super sensitive, like when this is on, there's like a really slight, really low level background noise, just like, interference noise just from the thing running, I guess.
Oh, like my connection.
Basically, yeah. It's kind of like, no, it's actually much better than Jeremy's connection. But as far as like the sound quality and everything, it's like, it's good.
Right.
Definitely passable. And heck, for $30 for making your...
That's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
Actually.
It just makes the earbuds into wireless earbuds, and lasted me like... I was listening, like mowing my lawn and stuff. Lasted like 3 hours or so.
Okay.
Just continuous use.
It's from a company named Poyatu.
Yeah, it's really...
Poyatu.
I mean, they're kind of hard to come by, apparently. Like, there were only a few left in stock when I ordered them.
Number one new release in stage and studio patch cables.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means exactly. But.
You might want to...
So what are you using these for?
Just when I don't want to have a cord connected to my earbuds, like doing yard work and stuff. Just makes it a little bit easier. Don't have to worry about snagging the cord coming out of my pocket onto power tools for the lawn.
Right.
It's tough.
Yeah. That does tend to be sore on the ears, doesn't it?
Yeah. It kind of tries to rip your, especially with the cords for the Shores, because they wrap over your ear and then down the back. So when something does yank on it, it tries to like rip your ear off.
That's not great.
So it's not the best. Anyway.
All right. That's the Poyatu MMCX Bluetooth cable.
Yep.
All right.
I hope at least more stuff like this comes out that's, similar price, because prior to that, the only solution was that other one that was like a couple $100.
Yes, that was great.
Yeah.
All right. That is going to do it for our first podcast in the new church studio, which obviously changes everything.
Nice?
It turns out
Did you like it?
It's literally the exact same thing from the other place.
Yeah.
Damn it.
The light's a little bit further away.
Then, get on that.
I think it's okay. We just need to tweak things here and there. We got lights pointed in the wrong places, cables hanging down in all kinds of spots. I don't know. We'll figure it out. Again, pcper.com/podcast is the URL. You can find all the back episodes, show notes, links to all the stories we talked about, videos, audio files, all that type of stuff will be included there. And you can find links to our subscription page or our YouTube page or whatever else it is you're looking for. So we want to thank everybody for hanging out, and we will be back next week with another episode of the PC Perspective Podcast. I'm Ryan Schraub.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
This really wasn't a short podcast, and I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Alan Malmontano.
Bye. If you enjoyed this content, consider supporting in-depth technical content by contributing at patreon.com/PCPer.